to another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and with me tonight on mic is Be Heard. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Today is Thursday, the 5th, 2017.
Not no ordinary Thursday, no.
No, October 5th, 2017. I thought it was going to be a normal Thursday. Well, actually, I didn't think it was going to be a normal Thursday because when I woke up, as soon as I woke up, and we can get right into the news, and I think we should. I have it up right now, but as you can see, right there in the news, I got hit with this little tidbit from Amazon. This was the first link that I really saw whenever I woke up. Hit up Reddit.
Okay. So
I saw the hype killer before I saw the actual hype.
I saw the hype first, so that's funny. I was going to ask you that too.
I live that life, but what we're talking about is I saw this listing on Amazon. It said Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition coming, and it had the craziest part about it is that it had all the details of what was going to be in Arcade Edition before Capcom had announced anything at all. So I saw that and I was like, well, that's a goof. This is going to come. But, I mean, even so, like, months before, we had kind of heard rumblings that probably a Super Street Fighter 5, and then a couple weeks back, we heard it's probably going to be called Arcade Edition, and if it's called Arcade Edition and doesn't have arcade mode, then what are they doing? But we can kind of get into it. What did you think about that reveal trailer?
It looked... Honestly, I didn't think it was like a Street Fighter 5 thing. It looked kind of... Well, you could tell, obviously, it was CGI. But It looked really good, actually. It looked different. It looked like it was like a completely different. I didn't think. Obviously, it had to be 5, but it looked different. It felt different. It looked gorgeous too. I was kind of like, wow, for CGI, this is really nice. And then I wish they would have showed some of integrated some of the screenshots that we're seeing now today.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wish they would have put something in that trailer just to give it an actual taste. Like, if you been living under a rock for the past 2 years and you haven't seen anything Street Fighter 5 related, it's kind of like, well, what's this? Is this a movie? Is what like I wish they would have just gave us something. You know what I'm saying? Like that was,
yeah.
Especially with the game being 2 years out. You know,
I can understand that, but I think their big push is to get people on to their CFN website, which we can talk about in a minute. But specifically in the trailer, a couple things that I want to point out is that it showed there was one secret reveal in that trailer, and it's potentially a new stage, I think. So
are you talking about the Manette picture?
Yeah. It was actually really funny. Quasimodox, he does all the art for our Street Fighter. He did a
shout out to Quasi.
Yeah, he paused the video, and then he did the enhance. He did the CSI enhance. Can you make that a little clearer? Can you rotate that 90 degrees? And then was able to get kind of not necessarily a clear picture of it, but a picture that is representative maybe of what that stage is going to look like. Granted, like you said before, it's CGI, so really anything that they added there could just be a whole bunch of nothing, could just be a red herring, could just be, people being crazy. But a couple things that they did announce in the actual announcements in that trailer is that it's listed right there at the end of the video. All season 1 and 2 characters. It's gonna have arcade mode, obviously, because how could you call it Arcade Edition without having arcade mode? It's gonna have...
I felt like Street Fighter would find a way.
Man, there was some rumors, and I was like, I'm really hoping that they don't, for just a really big joke, like the time that we all asked for Mega Man in a game, and then they gave us Fat Mega Man. I was like, give it to us this way. Give it to us raw, Capcom. Take what we want and just twist the knife. I want it, because that's just a funny joke. I can get behind a very good, elaborate joke. Very costly, elaborate joke. I'm okay with that. But also, extra battle mode. No real description in the video of what that was. And then I think something that's very exciting, it's going to change the game in a lot of ways, is the new V-triggers. Also, something to point out, it's kind of hidden by that bar right there as shown, but all new modes and gameplay features will be available as free updates for existing Street Fighter V owners. So that means all of this stuff, The question still remains: is do you get all of season 1 and 2 characters for free if you have the game right now?
That's a good question.
I'm not certain that would be the case. That doesn't make. That just kind of doesn't make sense. Like, like I get it. They can say everything, and like maybe it's just they're available for purchase or whatever. But even so, it's kind of that's the gray line right now. No one really knows what that's going to look like. Even on their website, they don't exactly go into detail of what that means. And speaking of which, I actually think we should hop over to the CFN page, because this was something that I think a lot of people missed, because a lot of people don't ever go to their CFN website, which admittedly is kind of a big, like, look at this website. It's not a very good looking website. I get it. But they share a lot of information there. Like, this is kind of how they've chosen to speak with the community in a lot of ways. Take it for what it's worth. But so they have this announcement. So something you can see here, it's coming January 16th is the potential release date for Arcade Edition. Let's scroll down a little bit and see what they got here. Huge update coming. Extra battle mode. Doesn't necessarily go into explaining what this means. Maybe you'll fight like a souped up Paul. I hope maybe that's the case. That'll be kind of fun. But you see here on the images on the side, there's that golden soldier. That who knows what that means, and they're just like, well, what's that little symbol? What's that mean? I don't know what that means. And then one of my favorite pictures is the beautiful Joe. How do you feel about that?
Is that Rashid? I was trying to determine of whose like taunt that was, and it looks like Rashid.
Yeah, that is a Rashid. That's a Rashid taunt in that particular picture. So alternate costumes. Or because the other thing I think about is because this is listed in extra battle, like maybe this will be the only place where you can get that. The hope is you'll probably be able to unlock something like that. I will say it's weird to see Beautiful Joe at that scale, at like actual human scale, instead of his cartoonish comic book scale that he has. So it's kind of weird, but maybe we get.
But I mean, if they could integrate like Capcom, like the glory days of Capcom players, and like get you invested into Capcom, like other characters, like a Hagar skin for Zangief would be cool, like things of that nature. I'm behind it. Like I'm okay with. I'll have like Birdie. You said something about a big or fat like Mega Man. I'll take a Birdie Mega Man costume or something like that with the gut hanging out. Yeah. Then I feel like somebody had that in one of the Street Fighters. It might have been Street Fighter Tekken. Or no, they actually had like a Mega Man, right?
You're thinking of fat Mega Man from Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah. See, I mean, you could already have something like that. Boom, just get the scaling right and the outfit right. Yeah, I'm actually okay with it. If they actually do like Morgan, like Chris, like all the people that's in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and they just put it in Street Fighter and it's a costume that you just have to earn, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I actually support that.
Give Chun-Li like a Morgan costume, or
maybe I don't know. Maybe give Ken like a Power Stone costume, because I mean that's a great franchise that everybody named Mama wants, but you know they show no love to. I don't know why. I'm just saying, Capcom, do you like money? Do you like money?
Yeah, that's to be seen. I don't know. They make some pretty wild decisions sometimes.
And real quick, sorry to cut you off, but how you were listing about how you're listing the stuff that includes in this arcade edition, if you will. I wonder if costumes and stages are going to be in that, and then I think that's probably gonna what's going to trigger me, like, because everybody else is kind of getting triggered about like what they had to wait 2 years just to pay $40 and I'm spending all this money. Now if costumes are included in that, I am going to be kind of bitter, but if like everybody gets like costumes and stages when you update it, then I'm okay with that.
I think specifically in there it doesn't say costumes and stages.
That's what I was thinking too, because it's like,
so that's I think that's a cool medium, because they make a lot of Well, also there's the other thing of like the CPT costumes and CPT stages of that money going towards the CPT prize pool. So they're not going to want to give that stuff out for free. Obviously, they're going to want to have that money there to build up their own thing.
At the same time, like, okay, so take last year's. That money was already raised and used. You know what I mean? So like, if anything, you should at least give us a ring. Because I wasn't lucky enough I didn't have money then. I wanted to get the ring. That's probably my favorite stage in this game, but I couldn't get it. So, like, I think you should at least give 2016, if anything. If you want to say no, 2017, you still got to buy that, I can't think of the actual stage name, but if you want to buy that one and the 2017 CPT, I understand that. But at least,
is that what we're talking about?
I'm saying, like, they should give the 2016 CPT stage for free and then those colors. But if you still want to charge for the one this year, I understand that because it's going towards this year. I understand that one completely. Right. But I'm saying, like,
well, let's get into the next topic then. Street Fighter arcade mode, finally. Who'da thunk it? This is actually pretty cool how I think they're going to be doing it. That they're including, as you can see from the image, not just they really doubled down on this one. If we asked for arcade mode, and they're giving us about 6 different arcade modes. As you can see, they've got an arcade mode listing from Street Fighter 1, which that one's kind of funky, which we can get into in a second. Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 0, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4. You got all those different arcade modes. And what could all of those mean? I think you can see that from these other images here. That it kind of just makes sense that you would fight against characters from those games. The weird one is Street Fighter 1 because there's not many characters that could really transfer over unless you have Sagat in the game.
I think that's what people were thinking because I think originally it's supposed to be 3, but everybody saw 4. So then everybody thought that they're going to be Sagat. So that's probably my guess.
I am almost certain there will be Sagat, and I'm almost certain we're going to hear about this this weekend, perhaps tomorrow during New York Comic Con. That was when, to reel it back a little bit, we got that Amazon little hype stopper right there, and I think maybe that was their impetus to do this announcement today. I don't think they were ready. I think they had this as something to give, but they might have a little extra, might have a little something, more to taste, because we heard that announcements were going to happen at New York Comic Con. Now, it might be the next character that everyone expects. It starts with a Z. What the heck's his name?
Zeku?
Yeah, Zeku.
I know
Zeku.
what he's talking.
Yeah. I just realized I've never said it out loud, so I don't know exactly how to say it yet.
Well, like when I knew, like I could see it in spelling, but I couldn't picture how to say it.
Right. Yeah, it's one
that's
of those
Guy's
weird
teacher,
words.
right? Or instructor.
Yeah. So we're gonna get that Bushin style. But then that might be the announcement. I don't know. A lot of people are definitely hoping Sagat to be in that announcement. By the way, kids, it's a little inside deal. There's been a lot of Capcom's been a leaky ship. Let's just be forthcoming about it. If you want that information as to like who is on that list, that stuff is out there of who you can probably expect to see. And a lot of this stuff, at least in wide strokes, was already known. It was just a matter of getting that confirmation and seeing what they have. I kind of like this presentation that they have on their website. I mean, this is kind of cool. I mean, look at that guy. It's throwing barrels. You see the barrels coming down. There's that new... So, like, there might be new stages. And, again, new end screens. Look at that. I think this art is pretty cool. Very reminiscent of the Street Fighter 2 era. But you got Sagat in there. Sagat is in that image. He's in there 3 times. Look at that panel. He's in there 3 times.
It's almost like they're trying to say something without saying something.
Maybe, I think. And you can unlock gallery, so, that's... not to take away anything from Street Fighter art. People love Street Fighter art. The art style is something that people, again, I will say, point out another picture of Sagat there in the art. Just want to point it out. I'm not trying to say that there's a big hint here coming that Sagat may or may not be a character in this video game that's going to be coming available to you January 16th of... Wait a minute. Is that right? That says 28. Oh, wait, never mind. I forgot what year it was for a minute. I thought it was 2016. And I was like, 2018 in January? I was like, what the hell? Listen, when you get to be my age, you know.
Yeah, it feels so far away. And I know it's probably just because of Steam, but as I was looking through this gallery, I mean, it's probably not, but who knows? I see a lot of LB and RB, and if anyone knows anything, you know, LB and RB is right bumper and left bumper on the Xbox One. I mean, they probably had to pay a pretty penny for it, but who knows? I mean,
that's kind of a more interesting point. Personally, I do not think it will come to the Xbox.
I probably agree with that too.
Mostly because if you guys remember, way back when this game was even in development, pretty much the only reason this game exists is because PlayStation pumped in money at the beginning to say, they gave Capcom money and said, make this game. We want to have this on our platform. They allowed it to be cross-compatible, but maybe I don't know about the LBRB. That's a weird thing to think about. Maybe that's a Steam crossover thing. I don't know where that's coming from. I just don't see it in this game's lifespan. Unless they
I'd probably
gain enough money to have the rights, and then like that becomes such a weird thing depending on like, because the assumption that I think we all have or working on is that, oh, Capcom gets all the proceeds for all the sales of everything in this game, which can't possibly be true. I'm not saying that I don't know where all the money's going, but PlayStation isn't necessarily going to give them the money to have it exclusive on their site and then have it be like a microtransaction game and let them keep all that money.
That's what I'm saying.
I think there's money changing hands somewhere, which I think prevents it from being a thing on Xbox. But that's just my opinion. Let's get into something else that I think is actually, this is something, at least for me, this is something I want to chew on. New V-triggers. You can't really get a good idea of what these V-triggers are from the couple of images they shared, but there's Ken doing some kind of like X-Flames kind of weird thing, maybe like a V-trigger Tatsu. There's Ryu doing some kind of force push focus attack looking action, and we got Chun-Li doing her Ultra 2 from what's the heck? I can never remember the actual names, but the big ball super that she has, and then Birdie. The Birdie one I actually think is interesting, because
it almost looks like he's controlling the chain.
Because if you look at the meter, he's not spending bar in that instance. His V trigger is not like quote unquote active. So does that mean we're getting different V skills? All it says is V trigger, but it would make sense if you're trying to balance a game if you have a more powerful V trigger 2 and also a very powerful V skill, does it make sense to have a V skill which I guess what I'm trying to say, have a V skill that makes sense with the strength of your V trigger? All I'm saying, just look at this image, look at Birdie's meter, look at what's happening. Also, kind of look at the overlay. The overlay is a little bit different now. They're changing up how meter looks and how things look when you are at full health. I think that's so.
It looks cleaner.
It does. It looks nicer. I like the look. It's a fresh look. It's like I said, that kind of leads to the next topic. All the updated UI. We're gonna have those new stages. But what do you think about V-triggers? I feel like I was kind of talking over you there.
I guess I could ask you the same thing. Like I said, this is my first true Street Fighter. Before I said that on commentary, so I was used to just having one, and then like I know how people love four, and four had different options. I think four even had different critical arts, if you will. I know they're not technically called critical arts,
No,
but I'm just
the
saying.
only thing that you could change in 4 was your ultra. Your
Then,
super
yeah,
was
I
always
guess
the
ultras.
same, but your ultra would change.
Okay, then yeah, that's what I mean.
It
But
could be 1, 2, or double.
as a commentator, I'm kind of scared because then that's more than just you have to learn. But I'm okay with it. I personally though, it sounds crazy, and I know everybody's gonna be like, "What? You sound crazy," probably in the comments. But I want it to get crazy. I want it to where even everybody has a crazy new V trigger that makes everybody play completely, not completely different, but to play like a different. You have to go about a certain way because now the whole thing is kind of repetitive. You know, kind of how each character plays and like I wanted to play
Mm-hmm.
different. Like, shoot, give Zangief a reality stone fireball. Why not? Like,
It's
mix
gonna
it up.
change.
Just do something so crazy.
You're right. You touched on a really good point. It's gonna change matchups. Zangief without his current V trigger, if whatever his other one is, it changes all of his matchups. Unless it acts similar, but I doubt that it will. But his current V trigger makes his crouching light punch when he's in V trigger extremely dangerous from any range. Well, most ranges, not like super max range, but like from any range where he can hit you with it. It's a threat. It's a huge threat. It becomes so much more potential damage. Take that away from him, that's gonna change a lot of matchups. That changes a lot of his matchups. It changes where you play him from. But I don't know what his next V trigger is going to look like, so I can only guess what that means in terms of balance. However, I will point out that they've done a really good job of balancing this game. So to introduce a whole other layer of V triggers, which is going to change every single matchup, unless like one V trigger is specifically terrible, like not a not useful V trigger. Fong's first number one Fong's V trigger, for example, is not useful.
Could use some better V triggers, like because here's my thing. If I mean, this is just off the top of my head. I'd have to obviously look through the roster and things of that nature to actually like pick and choose. But if I'm like Nikali, Laura, Balrog, I mean, I'm sure there's a multitude of characters that you can name who have really strong V triggers. Like, why would I need to switch? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like you have to kind of boost everybody. It's gonna be hard for them when you think about it, because I mean, you can't boost the second V trigger to the point where the first one's useless, but then it's at the same time you can't barely do anything different on the second one to where they don't want to not use the first one.
They can. I'm going to tell you right now, like, there will be V triggers that are not useful, that you just never see in a matchup.
So you think there's going to be some characters that still stay with their first V trigger? Absolutely.
Like, Urien is Urien because of Aegis Reflector. It just straight up. I don't see... I mean, they potentially could. I just don't see another V trigger having that type of utility that like makes that character, unless of course unless it changes his V skill to make him play differently in different matchups and makes him a more V skill centered character instead of a V trigger centered character. So that's just one of those extra balance things. Regardless, they have till January to figure it out. It's not an envious job to be working on that balance right now. I'm sure things are crazy right now over there. But any other closing thoughts on the announcement today?
I'm just ready to see it. It kind of it's that you ever, like back in the day, Joe, you ever go to a friend's house or whatever and say they got a new Street Fighter game, or they say whatever game they have that you don't have, you go over there, you have a grand, you play the game, and then you come home and then you just go play like an old Street Fighter, and you're like, this isn't the same. Like, this ain't fun. Like, I want to go play that one now. That's exactly what this new stuff is doing. and I'm thinking about the new stuff. Like, I don't want to play regular Street Fighter 5 anymore.
I don't want your old wine. Give me your freshest wine. I want wine that was bottled yesterday. That's the freshest. I want the freshest video. That's how wine works, right? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not a sommelier, but no, I see what you're saying, and I think that this is going to reinvigorate a lot of the community. There's a lot of scenes that have really died out just because people aren't there for a Street Fighter the way that they were. I would like it if other games could support local FGCs, but as it is, you've just seen a lot of smaller locals kind of die out, and my hope is that this reinvigorates people because people are more involved. Maybe the balance will change a little bit to get people thinking that this, maybe the systems change enough, maybe like the things that we've been asking for have changed enough that makes it a worthwhile game to people who have since dropped it, and hopefully it brings in a whole bunch of new players as well, players that want to get out to locals. And one more thing I want to touch on before I wrap it up here. I have to get going. I have a charity event in like 15 minutes. That's why anyway. One thing I want to bring up, something that I saw, actual arcade cabinets coming to select locations.
That'd be sweet.
Something's happening. Some in Japan, and I don't know if it's like said where they're going to be in the U.S., but that's something special. I feel, especially for the. I don't claim to know what the current arcade scene is in Japan, but it would just be something nice to have. You get that nice cabinet art. You get them facing each other. It's that whole arcade feel. It's called Arcade Edition. Hoping to get those cabinets out here. Don't know where they're going to be, but that is something to look forward and be excited about.
And also, real quick,
go ahead.
Luffy said something, and it was on the Red Bull documentary that actually was kind of like true. I believe it was Luffy. Don't quote me on it. Mm-hmm. But he basically said, or whoever it was, basically said that like once they do a balance patch or update, that shifts everybody's career because so like your best character, your known character that you stay with, that changes how you play and how you rank and how you finish. So it's going to be really interesting to see how like the Street Fighter we know, like Punk could be the worst just because of the switches. Like, but Punk has a multitude of characters. But like, what I'm saying, like Smug or PR Balrog or who else plays Balrog? Brian F. Like they all could be different just because of this change. Like it's going to be exciting. It's going to change the FGC and esports and all that stuff.
I somewhat agree with that, but I will at the very core disagree with it in that you don't see random people hitting up top 8. The top 8 listing of players, there's not a whole lot of screwing around. If there's top players at an event, they're going to be top players. Top players got there not because of the character, but because of how talented they are. I'm just gonna say what it is. Like Fudo, for example. He got second place at Evo with Armika. Armika was very strong, mega nerfed, but Fudo's still getting second place at all the CPT events. So like that didn't change where he stands.
That's true.
A little bit of a joke at Fudo's expense. That's fun fact. My wife's favorite player is Fudo, but for example, it didn't change.
It might change the beginning, but then like
the first couple weeks, things will be all kind of tossed around. It'll be a hot mess.
Yeah.
But
that's what I was trying to say. Because I mean, at one point in time, a game's meta and a game's top tier will always be discovered within time. So
yeah, we'll get there. And that actually leads into a question that I wanted to answer, but won't get into. Something to think about. For next time I'll answer this, but someone asked, is it bad to have your highlighted characters, like your banner characters like Ryu, Chun-Li, those characters be bottom tier for a game? would it benefit the game more to have those characters be top tier? I will answer that question next week. And many other questions. There were a lot of writing questions that I would love to get to. I just want to prompt that question because I think it's a very interesting question. I have an answer to it, but I cannot get around to it this week. We only have time to talk about this huge announcement today, which is Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. But before we wrap up, Be Heard, where can people find you?
Underscore Prince Heard I on Twitter. That's probably the best place to reach me and all that good stuff. Or with Joe. If I'm talking, you hear my voice. I'm usually with Joe. So wherever you can find Joe, you can find me.
Hit us up on Mondays, every Monday night. No, that's a different thing. That's a different time I talk to a microphone. And again, I'm Joe Monday. You can find me on Twitter at Super Joe Monday or anywhere on the sub, Joe_Monday. Hit me up, one of the mods at our Street Fighter. But that will wrap it up for us today. This has been another edition of RSF Radio. Take care, folks.